Now let us get into different web UIs as well as log files so that we can actually troubleshoot the issues with respect to HDFS on our cluster. First, we'll start with Cloudera Manager. You can log into the Cloudera Manager, and this is the dashboard of the Cloudera Manager. To get into HDFS, you can click on this, and it will actually show you details with respect to HDFS service. HDFS have different components, and log files are associated with each of the components that are available as part of HDFS. So if you want to get logs related to name node, you can click on name node here, and you can see log files associated with it. You can expand this, and you can actually look into standout, stand error, etc. You can also roll log file from here. Similarly, if you actually go to the HDFS dashboard, which is this one, by hitting back button, you can also go to data node. Once you click into data node, you can see there are 3 data nodes. You can click on each of these servers on which data node is running, and you can actually see the log files associated with the data node that is running on that particular server. In this case, Big Data Server 7. Again, if you expand, you see those 3 options here: roll log file, standout, stand error. You can click on these things to actually get the log details. It will give you what is happening at this time from these log files, and then you can take it from there. You should be able to get into these log files from the backend also, which I'll be demonstrating at a later point in time. That being said, on top of these web interfaces which are part of Cloudera Manager, there are actually web interfaces related to the components that are running in HDFS, which comes with plain vanilla Hadoop itself. Those are nothing but data node web UI if you are on data node. If you go back to HDFS and if you go to name node, there is a name node web UI also. Similarly, with respect to secondary name node, there is a secondary name node web UI as well. You can click on these web UI URLs to get into corresponding web UI. In this case, I clicked on name node web UI, but it is saying Safari can't find the server because we are using DNS alias pointing to the private IP. As private IPs are not accessible from external world, it is failing to find the web service even though it is up and running at this time. The way you can access this is by using shuttle. So here I am demonstrating shuttle again to proxy into these web services using Big Data Server 1. So Big Data Server 1 will act as proxy to access those applications that are running using private IP. So the shuttle command look like this: shuttle -r, itversity is the username, and then external IP of the Big Data Server 1. And then you have to say 0.0.0.0/0, and then SSH CMD. You have to give SSH-i and then the location of the private key using which we want to authenticate into the server, which is nothing but ~/.ssh Google Compute Engine. Now you can hit enter. It will prompt for the password. You have to give your local password. It requires sudo access, which means root access. And this work on Ubuntu, which is set up on Windows subsystem also. And we have set up shuttle after installing Ubuntu as part of the setting up of our laptop in the beginning. And hence you should be able to run this command from Ubuntu if you are using Windows machine. That being said, now we are connected to the Big Data Server 1, and it will act as proxy server going forward. Now you can actually try accessing the web applications that are running on private IP. Even after configuring Big Data Server 1 as proxy, we will not be able to access these web applications yet. The reason is these aliases are pointing to private IP, and these aliases doesn't mean anything to our laptop. So one of the workaround to make sure we can access these web services using private IPs is to define mapping between the private IP and names like this as part of etc host file. So let us do it. For now, I'll be doing for name node, and then we will be actually looking into the other servers also at a later point in time. So to access name node web UI, either I can get the private IP with respect to Big Data Server 2, which is nothing but 10.142.0.3. So I can actually go here and say 10.142.0.3 and 500.0.7.0 is the port number. Once you hit on this, you will be able to see this name node UI, and this comes as part of Hadoop itself. This is nothing to do with Cloudera. As long as Hadoop is running, this web service also will be up and running to give details about your file system. Okay, so to use these URLs out of the box, after using the big data server 1 as proxy, what I can do is I can get the fully qualified name of the server, which is nothing but this one, and then open new tab on my Mac. Even with Ubuntu, the instructions are same. You have to say sudo vi /etc/hosts, and then you have to enter the password of your local PC, which have root access, so that we can update this host file. And here we can actually paste this alias and remove that additional line which is accidentally copied. And then we have to point to the private IP, which is nothing but 10.42.0.3. 10.142.0.3. Okay. Now you can come out of this, and then you should be able to go to HDFS service and then into the name node component, and then you can click on name node web UI. As there is mapping with respect to the private IP and this DNS alias in etc hosts, it will take you to the name node web interface directly, which is running on port number 50070. Okay. So if you actually spend some time and perform this additional step, you don't need to type the private IP directly. Instead, you can actually use the quick links that are available from the Cloudera manager itself. Now let us understand this name node web interface. If you scroll down, it actually shows you details about how much is the capacity with respect to our HDFS. The configured capacity is approximately 160 GB. As of now, only 2.05 GB is used. You can actually see the details about live nodes as well as dead nodes. As of now, all the 3 nodes are up and running. These are details with respect to data nodes. If you want to get into the details, you can actually click on this, and you can actually see the details with respect to data nodes here. These are the servers, and this is the private IP associated with each of these servers. So we can actually copy this private IP and go to vi etc hosts and add these additional entries for data nodes also. This is for big data server 5. This is for 6. This is for 7. Now I have to update this part. Now we have mapping between private IP and private DNSs as part of our etc hosts on our server for data nodes as well. Okay. So that being said, you can actually get the information with respect to data nodes even from name node UI. If there is any down, you will see the details here. If there is anything that is being decommissioned, you will see here. You can also get into data node volume failures if there are any. You can also see the snapshot details. You can see the startup progress when the server or when HDFS is up and running. If you want to see how the startup is progressed, you can see those details here. Then you can go to utilities. You can browse the file system. So it starts with root file system. Under root file system, we have temp and user. We have created user space for user ITversity, which is nothing but directory by name ITversity itself. And you can actually drill down and get to the file level. You can click on these files, and you will be able to see the metadata with respect to these files also. So with deck of cards, there is only one block, which is nothing but block 0. And these are the 3 hosts on which that block is copied. Similarly, you can click on largedeck.txt, and you can see all the blocks associated with largedeck.txt. And for each block, you can actually see the details where these blocks are actually stored. This is how you can actually access metadata of the files using name node web UI also. And then you can actually go to utilities and click on logs. It will give you the details with respect to log files, primarily with respect to name node. There are no data node logs here. It's primarily name node log. You can click on this and you should be able to see the logs associated with name node. Also, you can go back and see the other logs also, but they are not related to name node, and hence I am deferring for now. Primarily, as of now, you should focus on this log file. Okay. That being said, now you can actually go back to the Cloudera manager and then click on HDFS to get into the HDFS dashboard. And then you can actually click on data node. It is, I think, still refreshing. Let me run once again. Because it is being proxied from Big Data Server 1, it is taking a lot more time than usual. It is a bit slow now. Now you can see the data node. You can click on this data node. And then it takes to this host dashboard where data nodes are highlighted for you. You can click on respect to data node from here. As we have mapping between private IP and DNS defined as part of ETC host, you can click on this to go to the data node web UI also. It will just take a moment and it will actually show the data node web UI. Primarily, you will be finding logs, I guess. Let me see if we will be able to see the logs. No, even logs are not available here. Okay. Anyway, it will hardly show any information here, but with respect to name node, you can see a lot more information. That being said, at times you might have to troubleshoot the issues from the backend. If the server does not come up, you will not be able to access all these things from web interfaces. For example, if data node process, which is nothing but part of HDFS, does not come up, then you will not be able to access web interface, or even you will not be able to see information from Cloudera manager. You might be able to see few information, but not everything. Probably using log files, you can get to the log files of that component that is running on a particular server, and you should be able to troubleshoot. Sometimes Cloudera manager also might not be available. In that case, you should know how to access log files directly. So the way you can access log files is you have to first connect to the proxy here, which is nothing but SSH-I and then ITOST and this external IP of our first server, which is Big Data Server 1. From here, I can log into a particular node from where I want to get the log files. So in this case, I will be logging into the server where the name node is running, which is nothing but Big Data Server 2. And then you can actually sudo to root, go to where log. This is the standard location for most of the log files for the applications that are running on Linux. And then you can actually run ls-ltr. For Hadoop HDFS, this is the directory. You can say cd Hadoop HDFS. There are other directories also with respect to Hadoop. You can see HTTPFS, yarn, MapReduce, etc. As of now, if you get into those directories, you might not find files except for HTTPFS probably. But you can actually go to Hadoop HDFS to get log details with respect to HDFS service. And then you can run ls-ltr and you can see the log.out file, which we have seen from the web interface earlier. So you can open this file and you should be able to troubleshoot the issues. So you should be able to figure out the issues very quickly. So you need to understand how to go to the end using editors, or you should be able to open using web services, and then you should be able to search for the information. If you have to log into the server and if you have to troubleshoot the issues, you have to search for any exceptions or errors. And also at many times you might want to get till the end to see if there are any exceptions. Also, when the server is started, for example, let me restart the HDFS service here. Before restarting the HDFS service, if HDFS service is not coming up and if you want to troubleshoot the issues, you can actually say tail-f Hadoop CMS HDFS name node blah 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 and run. So it will actually keep on polling into that log file and it will show any updates onto the log file on the screen. Now you can go here and you can actually expand this and restart. As it includes the restart of name node also, it will actually start showing the details here. It started with shutdown and now it is actually bringing up the services. There are some exceptions. If everything does not come up properly, you have to go back and look into those exceptions. That's how you should be able to troubleshoot. Also, once it is up, I will show you how to search into these log files to troubleshoot the issues. You should be familiar with some of the Linux commands such as grep to search for the particular keyword from the log file, and you have to take it from there. I am not going to cover very extensively with respect to those details. You need to pick up some Linux skills here. We have some free content available. If you want free content available with respect to Linux fundamentals, just shoot out an email to us and we will actually provide access to Linux fundamentals so that you pick up some Linux skills also, so that you are comfortable in troubleshooting the issues. Now, as the service is still coming up, or it already came up, if you want to get the logs directly from here using Cloudera Manager, you can explore those things. You can just have to expand this, and you have to go to the events. So in this case, let's say the service is not coming up, and if you want to check the logs, you can go here. Let's say name node is not coming up, then you have to go to that particular event that is happening on name node. So the beauty of Cloudera Manager is it actually consolidates everything onto this page. You can actually troubleshoot issues directly from here if you have access to it. But for some reason, if Cloudera Manager is not up and running, then you have to troubleshoot the issues from the backend. You should be familiar how to troubleshoot from the backend also. For the certification purpose, make sure you are very comfortable with getting into issues using Cloudera Manager. So in this case, we are actually seeing issues related to name node that is restarted. Here I am in the event where name node is coming up. There is an event called start a role. You can see standard out, standard error and role log. You can actually click on standard error and see what is happening on this service or the component associated with this service. You can also click on full log file and you should be able to get the details with respect to log file from here as well. Okay, so this is how you should be able to use Cloudera Manager effectively to troubleshoot the issues. That being said, we have covered name node web UI, data node web UI using Cloudera Manager to troubleshoot issues and also log files related to the service. Before wrapping up, let me kill this tailf command by hitting Ctrl C. And then if I want to see if there are any errors or exceptions, one of the handy command is grep -i error, and then you can actually give the file name, which is nothing but Hadoop CMF blah blah blah, and you can see there are a couple of errors in this. You can also see exceptions. You should search for errors as well as exceptions. Typically, if service does not come up, you will find the exception towards the end. Sometimes you might not. So if it is not towards the end, you have to check when this exception is happening, and you have to search for the time in the file. For example, let's say I want to troubleshoot why this exception is coming. So I can actually copy this, go to this Hadoop -cmf blah 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 .log.out and search for the date and timestamp, and we should be able to see all the things related to that date and timestamp here. Okay, that's how you can search for actual exceptions in the file itself. And also you can actually go to the end of the file by hitting Ctrl G. If you see the exception here, you can say K, because I'm using VA editor. In the escape mode, you can just say K or Ctrl B to scroll up and troubleshoot the issues. So you should be familiar about how to access this file and get into the issue directly without wasting too much of time by manually scrolling through the entire file, because these files can be pretty big. Okay, so that being said, this is how you should be able to troubleshoot the issues, not only with respect to name node. You can log into the data node also. So in this case, I will demonstrate how to log into the data node and see the issues if something is not coming up properly in data node. So I'm exiting from root and then from Big Data Server 2. Now I will be connecting to Big Data Server 7, which is one of the data nodes, saying sudo su-root to switch user to root, and then cd var log cd Hadoop HDFS, and then ls-ltr, and you can see the log file here. You can copy this one and then you can view and then go to the end to see if there are any exceptions. If there are any exceptions, make sure you scroll up and see what the issue is. This is how you should be able to troubleshoot the issues. It is very, very important to use both Cloudera Manager, especially for the certification. For regular projects, you should be comfortable even troubleshooting the issues from the backend directly, because sometimes Cloudera Manager might not be up and running, or you might not have access to Cloudera Manager for whatever reason. In that case, you should be able to support the services directly as well. Cloudera Manager being down is not a significant issue within an organization. It is problem for the team which is managing the cluster. But if the service is down, then it's a major issue within the organization. So first you should focus on bringing up the service as quickly as possible. If you are comfortable with accessing the log files from the backend, then you should be able to bring up the services, and then you should be able to take it from there. And hence, accessing the log files directly is very, very important. And you should build the skills to access log files very quickly. You can use Ansible also or any other DevOps tool to get these log files and troubleshoot from there. Okay, so now it's time for us to understand more about checkpointing and name node recovery, and we'll be seeing those details as part of the next topic.